In 2015, Contemporary Istanbul, or CI as it's also known, features 102 galleries from 24 countries and celebrates its 10th edition. Istanbul is fast becoming one of the most important world centres for contemporary art. CI has come a long way since it started 10 years ago with 30,000 visitors. In 2013, that number was over 70,000. Last year, increased interest saw 80,000 art lovers head to the fair, and in a sign of its continued growth, CI is expecting 2015 to be even bigger. And it is casting its net wider for the freshest international contemporary art.
But in this year, we decided to host a city rather than a country. Actually, we are exhibiting Iranian contemporary art, but we are hosting Tehran, galleries from Tehran, and we called it Contemporary Istanbul is hosting Contemporary Tehran. We decided to do this like 6 months ago, right before, many months before the agreement which took over at the end of June between Iran and the United States, without considering that that agreement will take place. But now we see that we took the right decision by hosting Tehran and the Iranian contemporary art, which is very strong art, which we see produced in Iran. And then 5 galleries from Tehran are exhibiting now in contemporary Istanbul, and one foundation and then one private collection can be seen.
This increased international appeal seems to be resonating with the art lovers and collectors visiting CI.
I come here every year. I believe that this exhibition, Contemporary Istanbul, is developing and progressing every year. This year they came in with a rather more international exhibition, hosting more foreign galleries.
I look forward to this exhibition with great anticipation. I don't want to miss it. It's very nice, and I'm so happy that I can see Turkish and foreign artists' works together.
In an increasingly digitalized world where most people have an Instagram, Facebook and Snapchat account, CI has looked beyond the traditional art mediums.
We have plugin. This is the 3rd year. This year, the 3rd year is focusing on digital media and new media. It presents the selection of sound installations, digital installations, video art, 3D printing, 3D mapping, projections, and so many different, let's say, tools of the new media is presenting in the Lütfi Kırdar building, as we say, it's A2 floor. Again, that we're hosting 25, 26 artists in plugin. They are mostly emerging artists, and they're so beyond their times.
Contemporary art is definitely on the rise in Turkey, and so too is its place in the global art market. But with geopolitical unrest on its border with the likes of Syria and Iraq, the country's art future remains to be seen. Jason Mansoray, TRT World.
I'm joined now by Fatosh Uztek, who is a curator and art critic. Just picking up on that last point in that report about the geopolitical position that Turkey occupies at the moment, is that in part why art from there is becoming so interesting and is being exhibited in Europe at the moment, because artists have a lot to say about that?
I think Turkey has been always in a significant geopolitical position. I mean, before, like in the 19th century, it was between North and South, and now it's between East and West, and it's also regarded as bridging of the cultures, or like a very confluence of cultures happen to exist. And in that regard, the fact that it is very closely located to Middle East, but also Europe, of course makes it a very significant location. Not that it encourages the mobility and travel of artists and curators and critics, but also increases the possibility of making the art from different regions and cities possible or visible.
Now, it's not just contemporary Istanbul that's growing. We're seeing an explosion, aren't we, of private galleries and exhibition spaces. What's fueling that growth in Istanbul at the moment?
It is actually a very prolific scene, and it's a very positive and encouraging picture, in the sense in which if we look into the history of contemporary art today in Istanbul or in Turkey at large, we could perhaps go back to 2001, which is a very recent past. But what has happened in the midst of like 15 years is that the bank-supported galleries were replaced by private collectors and private initiations of different art museums or commercial galleries or public spaces. So in a way in which the venues for art has been expanding. And of course, there are many reasons to that, one of which is perhaps we can relate to '89 and the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the fact that Europe was seeking for its other, starting the research starting from the Scandinavian countries coming down to Southeast Europe, and of course Turkey was an unavoidable address. And what happened in that case was that between 2005 and 2007, many Turkish artists or artists living in Turkey had the opportunities to travel to Europe, to show in large-scale institutions and join in international conferences or discursive productions. And of course, Istanbul Biennial plays a very significant role. Starting from '87 until now, it's been the biennial celebration of international art where all, how can I say, high-profile curators were invited to direct and conceptualize a huge exhibition.
International's right. A lot of Iranian art in contemporary Istanbul. Why is that?
I think it's also the recent developments, of course. Europe is no longer the only source of influences and also positions, artistic positions. And of course, you have to look into the economical and financial factors in a sense in which there's a growing richness, there's a growing or there's a financial growth and wealth in Middle East, also in Asia, such as China or Korea. And of course, that does affect and contribute to the cultivation of the respective art scenes. And I think that's why this year Iran was brought into focus.
Well, it's fascinating stuff. Fatosh Ustek, thanks so much.